Hello to you, whatever time of day or night it is that you've chose to join me. A very warm welcome to you. And you are watching the Hetty's bite-sized version of Recovery Capital. If after you've watched this, you think I'd rather do this with other people so I can bounce my ideas off them, like say in a group setting with your peers, then there's my email at the end of this. So feel free to email me and I'll send you the latest up-to-date calendar of events of all the workshops that we do in the month, and you can attend any or all of them. So you are watching, like I say, the Recovery Capital bite-sized version, or in other words, the ingredients that you need to feel better and to succeed. It's understanding what recovery capital is and why it's important for recovery. And again, we'll get into what recovery is throughout this video, so it all makes sense, hopefully, by the time that you finish watching it. It'll help you to achieve your goals, and it'll also help you, hopefully, to maintain that change that you seek, whether it's you as a person that's wanting to reduce your drug or and alcohol intake, or if you're a family member affected by somebody else's drug and alcohol use, or if you're just somebody that's wanting to maintain some form of change regarding, let's say, I don't know, diets, shopping, um, factoring in anything that you want to make a positive influence in your life, journaling, then this can help you to do that. Introduction from my part. My name's Craig Knowles. I'm the kinship worker at Hetty's, and I've been in this sector for 21, 22 years, working and volunteering. And recovery capital, in my opinion, is pretty underused because if you really get it, if you really understand it, you can apply it to, like I said earlier, pretty much anything where you're wanting to maintain a change or make a change. So it helps you to understand what all those ingredients are, and then you can identify what you have, and more importantly, go out and seek the ones that you don't have, and also how to use the ones that you have or haven't got. So let's look at what recovery is first of all. I've got three examples. There's many, many more. The Oxford Dictionary version is a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. Great. The Mental Health Foundation state there's no single definition of the concept of recovery for people with mental health problems. But the guiding principle is hope, the belief that it is possible for someone to regain a meaningful life despite serious mental illness. Recovery is often referred to as a process, outlook, vision, conceptual framework, or guiding principle. Well, that's a wonderful example. My own's very simple. It's just feeling better. And you may have your own, and that's the thing about recovery and what it is. It's as individual as the individual. So that then leads us on to that question: what do you see as recovery? Ask yourself, what do I see as recovery? And you might want to pause this video, find yourself a piece of paper and pen, and write down the things that's coming into your mind. Whatever works for you, make this video work for you. And it's great that you can pause this. It's very different to doing it face to face. So what is recovery? Sounds like a very simple question. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But the important thing is to ask it and to think about it. Once you've got your own version of what that is, you can then set out to find the right ingredients to try and make your recovery possible and to achieve your goals. Those ingredients can all be found in Recovery Capital. What's needed is to identify what you already have and also what you need. And the next few slides gives us basic definitions of Recovery Capital, and what we do in relation to these in order to increase slash address them. What we do, what I mean by that is within HETIS. The use of the word recovery in this workshop is to describe achieving goals or maintaining change. So whether it's stopping smoking, drinking, drugs, sticking to diets, or the gym, like I said earlier, this can help. Sorry, I've got a very trigger happy computer that keeps double clicking. So recovery capital is broken down into 4 separate categories, and those are social, physical, human, and cultural. All of these have their own specific elements. Here we go again, double click. So social, the bits within that is relationships, family, and groups. Physical, those are your assets, your money, your property, your transport. Then there's human recovery capital, which are your skills, your hopes, your health, your education. And then there's cultural. And in my opinion, the cultural elements are the most important. And the most important, again, in my opinion, people have their own opinions, but mine is that there's values, beliefs, and attitude. The most important is attitude. So if your attitude towards your own recovery, towards your own goal setting is ambiguous at best, then you're setting yourself up to fail. If you're very fixed and firm, structured and on it, and your attitude is, I can do this, I will do this, then of course you've got a much better chance. So your recovery starts with you. It's important that your starting point is what you see as recovery. So think about that again. Once you've done that, you can identify your strengths and needs. And these following slides will help you to explore recovery and recovery capital further. And they'll also hopefully allow you to develop a smart recovery plan to assist you to meet your achieving your goals and your objectives. I love smart. A lot of people don't, but I love smart. I think it's great. We'll cover that in a little bit. And this is by no means everything you need to know. What it is, though, is that bite-sized, gentle exploration into the recovery agenda. So, excuse me, what is recovery? It's involving services. It's asking for help when you need it. It's changing people's attitudes about you. On the other side of that, it's accepting that people do have a perception of you. It's involving family. It's learning what works for you. It's taking one step and one day at a time. It's having the power and tools to cope. It's involving friends. What else is recovery? It's freedom. It's hope. It's new enjoyment without stress. It's letting go of past attitudes. It's knowing your limits. It's healing relationships and learning what works best for you. There's loads of other things. We could go on, but this is bite size. Attend the bigger group, the longer group, if you want to explore this more. Recovery can mean a lot of things involving many ingredients, and these are just a few. But you're an individual and you've got your own unique blend. So it's time for you. I've put here, it's time for you to get your chef's hat on, because, a good chef knows how to use all the ingredients to get the meal tasting great. Like baking a cake, isn't it? Everybody uses pretty much all the same ingredients, but some end up flat, some end up dry, and some are like Goldilocks is just right, although she had porridge. But there you go. If recovery capital was a journey on a plane, a bus, train, car, or boat, I touched on it a little bit earlier. Physical, social, and human recovery capital are all the passengers, and the cultural element of recovery capital are the drivers. Without them, you don't really get anywhere. Social capital, again, let's just have a look at that. This is repeat, repeat, repeat. It will hopefully embed the knowledge of what each part of recovery capital is. So we're going back to social. It's the support you have from your relationships, your family, your friends, your carers, your partners, your children, your peers, your pets. The physical capital, that's your finances, your income, your savings, your assets, and your housing. When it comes to all of these things, again, think about your own situation. And if you're looking at this, well, let's just say taking into account finances, if that's something that automatically makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, this is where the responsibility, again, your attitude, comes back to you to say to somebody to open up, or as to say these days, to reach out and just explore why that makes you feel uncomfortable. If it's a case of benefits and not having access to them, then again, there's things that we can do at Hetties that can help you to maximize those. We've got good people that will help you to look at that with you and get you involved with things which will maximize your finances. Your human capital, these are your skills, it's your mental health, it's your physical health, and your employment. Again, think about these elements. Think about yourself. Think about your own mental health. In terms of being in Nottinghamshire, there's so much support out there. And I know that there's a lot of debate and there's a lot of discussion, quite rightly. That's what helps things to get better around mental health and mental health services. But at this point, let's just keep it simple. In Nottinghamshire, you've got access to very quick support at low level mental health support. So, for example, not alone. If you Google not alone, Nottinghamshire, there's a whole host of information, advice, support that's out there instantaneously to get you on that pathway to improving your own mental health. Just talking to somebody is the first step. Opening up, reading, getting on that path, it will help. Physical health, again, I'm a massive advocate and I love going to the gym. It's what keeps my mental health quite high. And I do notice that when I'm not attending the gym and not doing something that um, gives me those endorphin hits, gets me that adrenaline going, gets my heart pumping, gets me feeling alive, gets me feeling in a place where I belong and feel at peace and at ease. Being in that environment really works for me. It's not for everybody, of course, and there's a lot of stigma and people struggle to get over that threshold of being in a gym, feeling judged, having all those thoughts. But what I can say to that is pretty much all the gyms I've ever been involved with, it's a really supportive environment. And the last thing you're going to get are people taking the mickey um, because it's just not that age anymore where people accept it. And people that do that very often, very quickly get thrown out. So, but again, the first step is having that exploration, having that chat around what it is that you want for your own physical health. And then there's your employment, same as the one in terms of what I said around finances. There's things we can do at Etis by having those discussions and talking within Hetties to Stacey around um, pathways to improving employment possibilities. So it's sort of making you as an individual more attractive to an employer, I guess. Back to the drivers that I talked about earlier, the cultural capital, your values, your beliefs, and your attitudes that are held by you. And it's really important to look at your own values and to look at your own beliefs because they can change, as can your attitude. And sometimes our values, our beliefs, our attitude can be the worst thing for us because we get fixated and we have tunnel vision at times, which takes us down a path that's not always helpful for us. So exploring our attitudes, our beliefs, and our values is really important. And I'm not saying that anybody's just wrong. What I'm saying is, if you're in a place where you're constantly and consistently in a place of feeling I've done it wrong again, or I could do better, and why can't I maintain this? It's perhaps something to do with one or all of those three things. So having those discussions and gently changing the way we perceive ourselves and others is what helps us to deal with ourselves and others better. And you can have every other ingredient within recovery capital, but if you've got the wrong attitude, you won't get anywhere. The same as a ship. If there's nobody, what do they call them? Captaining the ship, it's not going to go anywhere. You can get on a bus station, and sit there forever waiting for the bus driver. It's not going to go anywhere unless he gets on. That's attitude. I'm going to look at the ingredients again. Have a look at them. I'm not going to say them all, just have a look at them. Can any of these achieve recovery on their own in isolation? Pause it if you want and have a look through it. Personally, I don't think they can. And you can have best attitude in the world, but if you haven't got the other things, it's not going to get you very far. It can get you a long, long way. Don't get me wrong. The right attitude, the right mindset is an unbelievable power to have, but you still struggle if you haven't got other things. So after you've identified and you understand the ingredients of recovery capital, the next step is to look at the ones you already have or available to you. Like I said earlier, each person's recovery capital is different because each person has different resources available to them. You can also identify the ones you don't have in order to go out there and get them or make the changes you need to obtain them. Being able to access these resources is vital for recovery. It really is. And goals and objectives may be helped by smart planning, like I said right at the beginning. I'm going to keep smiling every time it double clicks rather than wanting to pick the computer up and throw it somewhere. That's because my attitude's getting better. Setting goals. Goals provide specific objectives and targets that a person is trying to achieve. It should be clear, challenging, but achievable. Useful concepts when considering your goals are the goal specificity. I can't even say that, but there you go. You can have a laugh at me. The specification and clarity of the goal. Being very targeted on what the specific needs you have and being very clear about it. The goal difficulty. So it's the level of performance, energy that's needed in order to require the specific goal. So if the specific goal was, I don't know, climbing Ben Nevis, that's very clear. And the performance that you need, you need your good hiking boots, you need good weather, and you definitely need to be with someone else to help you to do it. You can do it on your own, but, it's a gentle walk. or it's a difficult slog, whichever route you take. What I'm saying there is being very specific, knowing which path to take, which route to take will make it either easier or harder. Then you've got your goal intensity, the process of setting the goal or determining how to reach it. Again, planning, Ben Nevis example, what route you're taking, what you need around you, and the commitment, the effort used to achieve it. So in a nutshell, it's what are you prepared to do in order to do it? There's a lot going on. Again, let's just have a quick recap on the example of Ben Nevis. It's not just about climbing the damn thing, is it? It's about getting there. We all live in Nottinghamshire, or most people watching this and attending our groups will be living in Nottinghamshire. It's a long way to Ben Nevis and Fort William. You've got to think, are you getting there? Are you driving? Are you going on the train? Are you using public transport? You know, how long is that going to take? What's it going to be like when you get there? Have you checked the weather? Have you checked the routes? Have you checked the apps that's telling you whether or not it is or isn't safe to go up on that day? Is there a long-term forecast? I could go on, but it's all about if the goal is that, there's a lot of planning that's needed. So the specificity of the goal, the difficulty, the intensity, and the commitment needed. If we get all those ducks in a row there, chances are that we're going to have a successful outcome of getting to the top, taking some nice photographs and telling everyone what we've done it. Goals for recovery may be set in a formal context where all activity is agreed for a specific period. Why is it he says specific and not specificity? I don't know. I've got the wrong shaped teeth. They are often set informally and sometimes very unclearly. Every time you ask yourself or somebody for something that will require them to take time, you are setting goals. Okay. We need to be monitoring progress. Once goals are set, progress towards achieving them may be monitored on a regular basis. This may be done formally with reporting of specific achievements, showing of quantitative metrics. It may also be done informally, for example, through conversation and simple meetings. What I would say is it's always good to get things written down. It's always good to have something tangible that you can reflect on and see what you've done, where you've been, how much effort you've put in, what you've already achieved. Because sometimes when we're goal setting, if we don't do those things, it can become very demotivating when we think we're not getting anywhere. But if you're doing things like this, it's really important to write the stuff down because then we can reflect and say, hold on a minute, yeah, it don't feel always like I'm getting somewhere, but actually I've done X, Y, and Z. And that means that I'm trying, and that means that I'm moving forwards. And recovery is often a thing of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But if we've got the right attitude and mindset, we're already invested in that's part of the process. So we're not going to get too demotivated. Feedback's also really important to enable the person to learn where they are relative to their goals and their recovery. So having those conversations with other people, again, reflection, having other people to bounce your ideas off and them giving you their feedback is really important. It's important for motivation. It's also important for continued positive attitude. It's important for momentum. So how you receive that feedback is also got to be in a way that helps you to feel like it's constructive rather than a personal attack. And smart objective setting can really help. Like a double click. Keep saying it, don't I? So it must be bothering me. What is thinking smart? It's obviously an acronym. So if you've got any goal, think about what it is. What is specific? Is your goal manageable? So can you cope with it? Is it realistic? So is it too much? Is it out of reach? And is it time bound? When will I have done this? A quick, easy example of a smart goal is a smart goal versus a not so smart goal is I'm going to France tomorrow and I don't speak a word of French, but by the time I get there, I want to speak fluent French. The best will in the world, unless you're some sort of genius, it's not going to happen. So it's not a smart goal. If you say I'm going to France this time next year and I want to speak decent French to be able to get myself around, then so long as you plan it and you do things like attend classes once a week, by the time you go next year, you will have set yourself up to succeed rather than set yourself up to fail. Quick example. So the main ingredient for your recovery capital and recovery is you. Make it all about what you can do, obviously with the support of others, but the main ingredient is you, your attitude, your belief systems, using all the other elements that we've discussed today, looking at those and really planning what you do next. And you'll get out of the process of recovery what you put into it. Decisions will have to be made and some will be challenging, especially when it's looking at changing your core beliefs, your attitudes. You know, sometimes that can be very powerful. And that process of change can lead to other triggers coming up because then we start to think about when we are in a process of change, when we understand that some of the things that we do, say, and believe are not helpful to us, then we can fall into that category of feeling sorry for ourselves. But it's not about that. It's about embracing change. It's about owning change. It's about letting go of things that's not been helpful to us, whether that's people, places, things, attitudes, etc. We have to let go of that with love and without guilt. The rewards for doing that can be life altering, and obviously it leads us to a new place of fulfillment. That's the idea, anyway. Feedback. Thanks for watching. Like I say, it's a very quick, very brief, bite-sized version of what recovery capital is. I hope I haven't bored you too much. If you do want a diary of face-to-face workshops that you can attend, you can email me at craig.knowles@etis.org. Press pause, write it down. If you want that list, I'll happily send it to you. If you've got any other feedback about this bite-sized version, then please let me know. I'm happy to change it. Or I'm also very happy to take anything that's positive. But if there is anything that you'd like me to change, like I've said in this PowerPoint, please make it constructive. Everything that I've said today is coming from a place of love, of encouragement. And if anything that I've said has triggered or upset in any way, shape, or form, it's obviously not my intention to do that. What I would say about that, if it has, is to think about it as why it is, because potentially that's going to be something that's going to be have to be explored if you are thinking about using recovery capital to help you to get into a better place. So like I say, please feel free to email me with any feedback, and I wish you a good rest of the day or evening. Thanks ever so much for watching, and you take care.